What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Ryder's Record Collection. My name is Carl, and us vinyl collectors collect for many different reasons and to each their own. But one of the reasons that I think everyone can agree that they collect records is for the timeless aspect of the music that you are collecting. Whether it be new music or old music, you're buying it on wax because you want to keep it and preserve it, and in your mind it's timeless. So I wanted to go through some albums in my collection in this video that I consider obviously timeless because I have them, that are also celebrating pretty big birthdays here coming up. It is November 2020, and I've got a couple albums that are turning 50. I got an album that's turning 40, and I got an album that's turning 10 that I wanted to show you guys and talk a little bit about. So without any further ado, we will kick it off. The first album of the month, I guess you could call it, is The Worst of Jefferson Airplane. It was their first compilation album, and it was released 50 years ago this month in November 1970. Jefferson Airplane, if you've never heard of them, is a psychedelic rock band from San Francisco, very prominent in the 60s, and they ended up becoming, I think, Jefferson Starship after they went through a lineup change. But this compilation, released in 1970, features all of their hit songs up to this point. If you have it, spin it this month because it's turning 50. It's got a nice gatefold and great little compilation album. The next album that's also turning 50 this month is turning 50 on November 1st, 2020. It was released November 1st, 1970, and it is The Grateful Dead, American Beauty. I am not a huge Deadhead, but this album and Working Man's Dead are both just super fantastic Grateful Dead albums. But this album is folk rock, country rock, psychedelic rock. It is very different from the Grateful Dead's live stuff where they went on and jammed. These songs are all about 6 or 7 minutes in length, but they're very pretty, very well done, very melodic. And this next album has some heavy hitters on it. It turns 50 on November 9th, 2020. It was originally released November 9th, 1970. And this is Derek and the Dominoes, Layla and Other Assorted Love Songs, a stunning double LP with, like I said, some very heavy hitters on here. Eric Clapton, Dwayne Allman played lead guitar on most of the tracks, and just some killer session musicians. An album full of love songs. It features, obviously, Layla, one of Eric Clapton's most famous songs. When Eric Clapton wrote most of the material for this album, he was in love with George Harrison's wife, and they were having a little bit of an affair, and I think that she ended up choosing George Harrison over Eric Clapton, which led to some of the agonizing, just bitter love songs on this album. Nice double LP, and this is just killer from beginning to end. So if you have Layla and Other Assorted Love Songs in your collection and you catch this video by November 9th, 2020, it'll turn 50, and you should play it and celebrate the genius of Derek and the Dominoes. This next album was released on November 30th, 1970, just in time for the Christmas season, and you gotta love record industry executives pushing a band to put something out for Christmas. And this is The Doors' 13, and it is another compilation album that features 13 iconic Doors tracks up to that point. However, it was released before LA Woman, so there's nothing from LA Woman on it. So as I said, November 30th, 2020, this thing turns 50, and recently I was looking at the Doors Instagram page, and they did a repress of this album for a 50th anniversary, and it's a limited, well, it was limited edition. I don't know how limited edition they ended up being because a lot of people wanted it because what they did is really cool. So this is the same album. I got it really recently, but the thing that suckered me into this album, or buying another copy of this album, is this has the original inner sleeve, which my copy didn't have. It's a beat up copy that a friend's mom gave me from her garage. So it's plays well, but it's taped up and beat up, and it's got a name on it, and no original inner sleeve, and it's black. This thing is not black, and it's awesome, and it goes really well with the color scheme of this album. So this is a duplicate album I have because the variant sucked me in. But November 30th, 2020, if you have this, spin it. It's turning 50. All right, and that was the last of the Dinosuars in this list. Although this next one is trailing by a little bit. It turns 40. And this is Adam and the Ants, Kings of the Wild Frontier. This is probably one of the weirder albums that I own. It was released on November 3rd, 1980. It is the second album by Adam and the Ants. If you haven't heard Adam and the Ants are a British new wave band that rose to prominence in the late 70s. This is a cool album. If you haven't heard it, I definitely suggest you check it out. Ant Music is a great song on this album, and according to Wikipedia, it is described as new wave and pop punk. So take what you will with that description. But if you have it on November 3rd, it'll turn 40. And the last album that I want to talk about is an infant compared to these other albums. This album turns 10 on November 22nd, 2020. Was released November 22nd, 2010. And it is My Chemical Romance, Danger Days, The True Lives of the Fabulous Killjoys, or commonly known to as just Danger Days. This is a real sleeper album in My Chemical Romance's discography, and I don't think it gets talked about nearly enough. It was the follow-up to the Black Parade. This is a concept album set in a futuristic 2019 version of California, where this group of rebels, basically called the Killjoys, are fighting a corporate overlord. And it's a testament to how creative Gerard Way is with his comic books in the Umbrella Academy. This ended up becoming a comic book that he did, but the music videos and everything, the concept of this album was really good. And I was very fortunate enough to see them play before they broke up on this tour, the World Contamination Tour, at a festival. This album, again, is very different from the Black Parade. It's like proto-punk. I think it's my favorite album in their discography. It's really, really good. It's, like I said, concept album, beautiful gatefold, and it's turning 10. If you haven't heard this and you're a fan of My Chemical Romance, you're sleeping on it big time. And if you haven't heard this and you want to check it out, I highly recommend it. All right, and that does it. There's a few albums in my collection that are having some birthdays this month, and I'd like to do this as a reoccurring thing on my channel. If you guys like it, let me know. But I want to pick albums every month and talk about them on their birthdays. As you can probably assume, me having about 400 albums. There's a lot more this month, but I have an Instagram account where I try to post whatever album has this particular birthday, and I try to listen to that album that day and really enjoy it. And I will be posting all these albums on the day that they were released with a couple interesting facts. If you're interested in that, check out my Instagram. But let me know what you think about this and if you like it, and hopefully if you see this in time, you can listen to some of these albums, and if you catch this at another time, you can still listen to them. If you haven't heard them, you can at least check them out. I really want to talk good music on this channel, and I want to let you guys know what I really enjoy, and hopefully you guys can let me know what you really enjoy, and we can learn some new music from each other. So there's a couple albums that are having big birthdays. I'll do this again next month. I liked it. And I am Carl from Ryder's Record Collection. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, give me a like, maybe subscribe, and I will put some more content out. So thanks, guys. Cheers.